Right, time to get cracking on this bad boy. Hey guys, welcome back to Tamiya Legends, and once again thank you for stopping by. So in this video we're going to crack this bad boy open and make a start, and in this video we'll get the full chassis done, all electrics, get it all working, and I'm super excited about it because it's my first ever full build of a TA02 chassis. But before we get into that, I just want to give a massive thank you to EuroRC for sponsoring today's video. As the majority of you will no doubt know, EuroRC can be found across social media. Their main port of call is their amazing website. They do obviously all things RC, including Tamiya. As I said, they can also be found across Instagram, YouTube and Facebook. And most importantly of all, if you are going to use EuroRC, please go into the description of this video and use our Tamiya Legends 5% discount promo code for any RC purchases. They've given us that, so we might as well use that promo code. Right then, let's get this opened up, let's get it all out in front of us and get cracking. Oh, we love a build day, don't we? It's been a while. I'm excited. So, laid everything out, I've taken all the bodywork parts and what have you away. We've got the trusty little toolkit ready with the greases and what have you. Can't see a bearing in sight within this kit. But again, I'm just going to build it completely kit form because that's more than good enough for the amount of running I'm going to be doing with this thing. So let's crack the manual open and get stage one. Lovely. Stage one is building the rear ball diff. Never my favourite job, and me and ball diffs don't always get on, although we've got a better relationship than we used to have. Little interesting facts before I build this diff. This TA02S chassis comes with front ball diff. Sorry, this comes with rear ball diff, but the front diff is gear. That's odd to have two different style diffs on it. I don't know any other Tamiya car that has that. So again, if you do, stick that in the comments because I'm always happy to learn. Right, that's the ball diff built. Again, never my favourite. In instruction it tells you to tighten this fully up. Usually you tighten it fully up and then take it back, I don't know, half, 3/4 of a turn. Feels great though, feels pretty smooth, but obviously ball diffs need to be worn in. You need at least a battery through them and then go back into them and adjust them up if they've come loose a little bit. But yeah, that's that done. So our next stage now is to get the bushes out, mount that rear diff into the rear gearbox, seal it up with the plate, and then it looks like we're going to fit the motor as well. Right, so gearbox sealed with the diff in, silver can standard motor comes in the kit, 21 tooth pinion and plastic motor mount, which I'm more than happy to use on this. As I say, it's minimal running. Just point of interest, because I know these gearboxes really well from all my sort of DF01 like top 4 stuff. So it's got a 21 tooth pinion, so it's pretty much the highest gear ratio you can have in this car without changing it to the speed gear tune set. So the car's going to be reasonably quick even on 540, which is pretty cool. But there's a ton of different gearing options for this. In fact, there's just a ton of hop-ups for this particular style of chassis anyway. Next thing is to get the motor in, and then we'll get the rest of the gearing in place. Right, so that's now rear shock tower on, top arms are on, obviously the motor's in, all the gears are in, greased up. So the next stage now is to build the lower arms and hubs. Right, so that's us finished stage 9, which is, as you can see, basically the rear end finished. It's got the arms on. You can see, let's see if I can get this in camera. So you can see how see the angle of the drive shafts. You can see how they've shortened the wheelbase with the lower arms. Quite clever. I do wonder if that puts extra stress on the dog bones or being at that angle, but I don't suppose it matters. But yeah, that's all gone together a treat. Really nice indeed. So just looking at the manual now on stage 10 or step 10. Next stage now is to build the front gear diff. So that's slightly easier and a lot quicker. Right, so that's the front of the gearbox started. Gear diff's built up, it's all metal gears inside. I should have shown you that, but every part of the inner is metal, which is good quality, I like that. So it's just casing how we'll bang this diff cover on, and then we turn the gearbox upside down, over, and then we start fitting the main gears to it. Right, so that's the gears in the front gearbox. Very straightforward and simple. Next stage is to obviously just bang the cover on with 3 screws, and then that takes us up to stage 13 in the manual, which is to build all 4 shocks and the R oil shocks. So I'll get this done, I'll build the 4 shocks, and then we'll come back. Right, so as I said, front gearbox completely finished, all bolted down, top and bottom, and then I've just built the 4 oil shocks. They're very short shocks these, there's 2 internal spaces as standard in them. But yeah, I took my time on the oil to get the bubbles out, and they feel pretty good. So I believe the next stage is stage 60. I'm just looking at the manual, yeah, which is to get the front shock tower on, and then to get the front and lower arm, top and lower arms built up. And that's the front end finished by the shocks. The U-shaped metal brackets in there holding the lower arms on, and everything feels pretty smooth. It's going together really nicely. So what have we got now? So that's front and back gearbox is finished, and we're up to stage, what is it, 19 on the manual, and that's to fit the shocks on both gearboxes. So we'll get that done, and then we'll see what's next. Right, that's the shocks front and back. Very happy with that. Very little movement on those. Don't buy it for thinking you're really going to better rally this thing around, because the suspension travel's just not there, but that's not an issue for me at all. Really like it, it's all very smooth. I'm just going to go away and make a coffee now, which doesn't affect you guys, and then I'll figure out what I'm doing next, because we're getting close to the radio gear side of it. So I'm not sure if I'm just going to bat on, not bother with the electrics, finish the chassis off, and I'll just put the electrics in at my leisure. Let's have a look at the manual. Right, so I've decided not to put the electrics in just yet, which might seem a little bit odd to some of you, but I actually prefer just building the whole car. It's not like I have to backtrack a lot to fit the electrics. So what we've done, we've started the chassis, we've put the 2 steering servo mounts in, just put the screws and washers in. We've put the sort of top deck unit on the car, and we've also fitted the steering system to the car. So that's all done now. So the next stage now is to fit the front and back gearboxes to that, and then it becomes a car. Right, we have a car. What a lovely thing this is. So yeah, front and back gearboxes bolted down, top and bottom, prop shaft in, steering's now connected. Feels pretty cool. Next stage now for the chassis is actually to put this big num bumper on. So this is only, that's the bumper guys, and that's only for this car. Now as you can imagine, the 037 has a huge front end, so yeah, that's how it goes. Now I'm going to fit this now, but I think when the car's finished, even when I'm running it, I'm not 100% sure I'll have this on. I think the body itself, the front of the bonnet, just sort of finishes just in front of it. So it is a proper bumper, and I understand why it's there, but sort of looks wise, for aesthetics, I don't know, I might not put it on. But right now we'll fit that bumper, and then the only other thing we've got to do, just looking at the instructions now, we've got the body post to get in there. In fact, let's finish the chassis fully, and then we'll come back. Right, so that's that chassis finished now, so that's everything on. So we've got the front body mounts on with a body clip and a O-ring. We've got the rears on, which go on through 2 brackets. No, it's quite a weird one. And then we've got some rubber tubing that we've had to cut, which just slides over. So next step now is to dig the wheels, tyres and foam inserts, and let's get those built up and get it on the car. Right, apologies my friends, I said in the unboxing video that they were actually slick tyres, and as you can see they're not. So they're not far off, to be honest. I like them actually, I do. I like these tyres. I'm kind of glad they didn't go with the rally blocks, because anyway, I think we'll still get enough grip sliding around on loose surface, and then of course we're going to get maximum grip on tarmac, which is awesome. Look at those wheels, look at them. They're just awesome. And all 4 now I've got the foams in, which is a little bit of a fiddly job, because you've got to take your time and make sure that it's all seated flat, and then when it's done just keep pressing it down. But yeah, I'm loving those. Right, final step is to get the wheel adapters and the pins and the wheel nuts, and let's get the wheels on, and then we can actually have a play and spin the diffs and all that, and see if everything's going in the right direction. Right, that's the chassis done. That bumper's horrendous, isn't it? I'm going to just sit the body shell on in a second as well, and I think you'll see that that bumper can't be on. I understand why it's there, and you know, if you are running it hard, then you need that, but no, it actually spoils the car. Anyway, that's going to give her a treat. That's suspension. So I said earlier it hasn't got much movement, but it's not bad. And obviously you can get a little bit more ground clearance if you mess around with the shocks and things and stiffen them up slightly. But yeah, the diffs, it's funny having two different diffs on. So you got your ball diff at the back, which is right now it's a little bit grainy and a bit harder, and then you got the sort of free spinning gear diff at the front. It's quite odd to have the two. Right, let's sit the shell on. Oh, look at that. So me being me, obviously they give you the body mount settings that should be correct to run it. So obviously sort of maximum clearance from your body, but for now obviously I won't cut the post, but I've just taken the spacers out and the post. I actually had to take the small rear bumper off the back because the back of the body shell, that's what it was hitting on, and it was probably the lowest it could go was probably about there, which is fine when you're running it, but when it's sort of in show, to be honest, what I'll probably do with this is I'll make the running video and then I'll sit the body a little bit lower. It won't be as low as it is there on that front. Right now, the front of this body is actually sitting on the big bumper, but it'll probably be around about there when it's sort of in display mode, because you definitely do need a little bit of clearance. But for now, that's good enough. And then from that angle, I've just had a look through the instructions. But my next stage I'm going to do is on the next video is going to be the cockpit. And then the video after that I'll do the shell, but the shell is so involved, you know. Obviously it's a hard shell, but it's not just a case of blasting it over. The large front and rear windows have got black surrounds. There's a black surround sill, there's black on the front, and then there's the lights and everything to paint, and obviously you got to go over it in TS white. So there is a shed load to do. It's quite an involved body, but it's one of those with Tamiya and the hard shells. It's you reap what you put into these bodies, because at the end of it they're just absolutely stunning. And then a quick one from the side. It's awesome, isn't it? It's funny because when you see the chassis and you realise just it's a really short wheelbase chassis, but once it's on the car it doesn't really look like that. And that's as far as I'm going to go with it in this video. Such a pleasure to put that chassis together. I mean, it's nothing different. I've worked on so many DF01s, but it's the first, you know, from scratch TA02 that I've built, and again, just such an enjoyable experience. Absolutely gorgeous little chassis. As I say, all the diffs, rear diff being ball, a little bit stiffer, needs running in. Front gear diff is fine. Overall drive, it's reasonably smooth, you know, and there's no bearings in it either. Definitely taking that bumper off. Obviously I'll leave it on for now, but when we get to when it's time to start the shell, I'll have that off, because it's pretty horrendous. We'll put more detail on the wheels as well at the end. We'll put some tyre decals on it, which will really liven it up. As I say, there's a lot of work. I've done that thing again that I always do with Tamiya hard body shells. I forget how much work's in them. Again, I knew this was a hard body shell. It was like, yeah, TS paint, lots of decals. But before you even get to the decals, there's a shed load of other little bits of paint you've got to do, not just the white. So it's way more involved than... But that's what I always do. I get to this stage and it's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of work, but it's going to be so worth it. So yeah, I think I'll wrap this video up. Let me know in the comments what you think. Next video on this at some point we'll do the full cockpit, paint it, and then I'll say the video after that we'll do the main shell and get it finished. And then we'll get it out running. gently. So yeah, I'll wrap this video up here. So once again, a massive thank you to YoroRC. As I said earlier, all their details and links and our 5% discount promo code is in this video's description, so please check that out. And thanks for watching, it's massively appreciated. If this is your first time on our channel, if you could maybe please consider liking this video and subscribing to support us, that'd be absolutely awesome. And as always, my friends, happy RCing.